my darlings, and welcome back to the Right Away After Party. My name's Cath.
And I'm Nic.
And we're so excited to introduce our newest guest, Miss Debbie Reed Fischer.
And we are just so excited to have Debbie on our podcast. And if you like our podcast, please like and subscribe to our channel. We love to bring content and we just want to keep doing this. So please support us like we're supporting all our authors. Yes, and so let's introduce Debbie. Debbie Reed Fischer is an author. She is accomplished. She is a CWI member. She has written a middle grade YA, and her newest anthology, I Can't Wait, I'm Being Jewish Now. And I can't wait to dive into that too. But I first want to start about your wonderful book. This is one of my son's favorite books. When I told him you were going to be on the podcast today, he was just so excited. He's actually probably going to watch this one. We have over 100 episodes. It's probably the only one he's going to watch. So I can't wait to talk to you more. So let's introduce Debbie, and please just take it away. Let's talk about how that you went from middle grade YA to now a Jewish anthology. Incredible.
Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all. And as I was saying before we got this rolling officially, I think your podcast is outstanding. The two of you are naturals. I love the interviews that I've seen, and I just know this is going to be a huge success and snowball and go viral. And so everybody who's watching, subscribe. And thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for having me. So the On Being Jewish Now anthology, just to let you know, 27 weeks on the USA Today bestseller list as of today. And so it's you know what's really heartwarming about that is that it means that people who aren't Jewish are reading it.
Yes.
That's the goal, because, we don't have a shared reality anymore. We're all in our little bubbles. And regardless of your political views, after October 7th, it's been a really hard time for Jewish people from forget about politics, just about anti-Semitism that's been happening, where people assign the wrong value to something that has happened in politics or in the news and just casts really bigoted blame on a group of people. Yeah. And really kind of very scary things are happening. And what's really frightening is that nobody's really talking to Jewish people about it that much. They're reporting in the news, perhaps somewhat. But so right after October 7th, I was asked to join, or to co-found rather, a nonprofit called the Artists Against Anti-Semitism, because of the things that were happening and not being reported, and things that were affecting us personally in our community. Like where I live, there were swastikas painted on both the middle school and the high school across the street. And this was even before 7.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and there's a ton of terrible stuff that has happened in publishing too, but we won't even get into that. And so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a political organization, because I don't want to go there. I like that there is a private voting booth and nobody knows what's going on. But I did think, just as I'm against racism or bigotry of any kind, this is personal. Yeah. I'm also a Cuban Jew. I'm not an American Jew. Many of us have intersectional identities. And so I loved this nonprofit. It was an auction to raise money that goes to other organizations to help inform and educate people about anti-Semitism, particularly on college campuses, but really everywhere. And so I thought that was a great cause. And so our nonprofit was doing really well. We raised $120,000 in 3 weeks. And it was my first time doing any kind of charity work in that regard. I'm usually hands-on, I hands-on with a homeless organization I did with my kids, like you do with your kids for community service. And then you really enjoy it and it becomes part of your life and that sort of thing. So this was my first time doing fundraising and being involved on that end of it. And then the founder, Zibby Owens, she was a co-founder as well, and she has a publishing company. She put together this anthology. I was very late to the group chat, so other people had a few weeks to write their story or their essay, and I did it in basically a day or two. I just quickly did it. We make no money on it. It's completely nonprofit for charity. It goes towards Artists Against Anti-Semitism to raise money. And again, 27 weeks on the USA Today bestseller list. There's everyone from you famous actors to influencers, fashion designers, like Rebecca Minkoff is in it. There's an Efron, one of the Efrons, Amy Efron's, believe niece. Oh, I hope she's not watching this. Niece, sister. She's an Efron. Last name is Efron. Uh, there's Mark Firestein, who was on a bunch of TV shows, Curb Your Enthusiasm. So and then of course there's a ton of authors too. There's
Yeah.
Jill Coleman and names and Julia DeVillers, who you know from Kidlit, and Courtney Scheinmel. I was one of three Kidlit children's book authors to be in that. So that was the genesis. And it's been wonderful getting to know authors of adult fiction. That's been really new for me.
Yeah.
And we were in this for a good cause. And again, we stay away from politics. We're just about anti-bigotry and raising awareness and humanity.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience and really exciting to be part of a USA Today bestselling book. It's the first time I've ever received. It's the very first time I've ever received, and this is real talk.
Yeah.
And when you're with Big Five, I mean, I'm with Penguin Random House. You're a very small fish in a big pond, and they don't give you the marketing and publicity that they give, I've also been with a small press, which gave me a little bit of promotion, but for the most part, this was the first time I've ever been behind a book where there's been marketing and promotion and a real passion and excitement to get the book out there. And that was an eye opener. That was an eye opener.
I love that. And how exciting to be a part of that and be on that journey. And I actually get to experience what that feels like to have, the marketing and see your book like in magazines and on billboards and, on the bestseller list. And I mean, just to know that you contributed to that, that's amazing.
Right.
And
it was in People Magazine. It was in People Magazine and Washington Post. And my books have been in newspapers before and obviously critical journals and have won some awards and things like that. But I'll be honest, it was mostly because of marketing that I did.
Yeah.
And you'll hear that from a lot of.
I think this book was on a Reader's Choice as well, wasn't it? Wasn't it on
Yes, and it was also a PJ Library selection, which twice selected for that, which was a big deal because they send it for free to schools and houses of worship and all over North America, Canada, and the United States. So that was that was good. This probably is the book that has done the best.
So are you doing any lectures and talks or any tours on being Jewish now? Are you doing anything like that?
I did a ton. I did a whole bunch. If you go on my social media, you see, which basically now that's our de facto websites. You can see we did lots of panels. We've had great response. Sometimes I won't do it without extra security because we have had the bad guys show up.
Oh, really?
I'll just say the bad guys.
Oh, sorry.
They showed up and tried to intimidate and harass and scare. Yeah, the Miami Book Fair was not a great situation. And luckily I was not on that panel. But we've so far had these panels and talks in very secure places. And the most recent one I did was for the Brandeis Alumni Women's Association. I was shocked at how many people came out for that in a good way. Hundreds. Yeah. Wow. Of course, they did have a very nice food like they had a breakfast they provided as well. But
food will bring guests.
Yes, and good coffee. It's true. When I teach workshops for students, I love it when it's also a pizza party.
Yes,
because they come for the pizza and stay for the writing.
Nice. That's a good tip, writer friends. Bring pizza, cookies.
Bring pizza, bring coffee. Coffee or tea is a great pull as well.
For the kids, though, we should bring pizza and maybe like some juice boxes, some cookies. They'll remember you. They're like, that was the best author visit ever.
Now, I have a question for you two. How did you two meet? Because I love this dynamic.
Oh, Cath and I met. We met a long time ago through. I think it was through Joyce and Jamie, right? Mm-hmm. They had a conference or like a workshop, and then Cath and I went to that and met. But yeah, I mean,
at Nic's house,
at my house, yeah.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. And you just clicked,
and we clicked, and then we became pen pals.
Yep.
And so, Cath, I have to ask you, where are you from in England? Because I lived there as a child.
I heard. Where did you live, Debbie?
I lived in Suffolk County, near Bury St. Edmunds, in a village called Mildenhall.
Of course you did. Wow. Mm-hmm. Where the big fighter planes fly over. And
that was my dad.
Yeah, there you go. I have a cousin who has a house very close to that, and we
Yes.
often hear the planes whoosh by.
Oh,
That
wow.
is the sound of my childhood. I'm the only person who asks the realtor, I need a house in a flight pattern, not away
Oh,
from it.
oh
I
my
need to
gosh.
hear it.
That's
I
so
love it.
that's so funny. That's so funny. I live on the flight path of helicopters now, and
I
it
like that too.
it's always just a little, you remember anyway, never mind. Never mind. More important.
Where are you from?
My family lives in London and south of London. So,
Lovely.
yes, I'm on my way back now in March to go to the London Book Fair.
Yeah,
Sorry, there's a landscaper out there. Can you hear it?
I
Nope,
know.
no. Do you want to
Okay.
open your window? I love hearing landscapers.
Oh no! Touche, touche. Well, we were in London twice this last summer, and my niece is there now performing at the Globe.
Oh,
Ooh, how
wow.
Yeah, that's
lovely.
cool. Yeah, so I hope to go back again soon.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just my heart is still there very much.
Oh, I
That's
love that.
wonderful. Yeah, my book was launched in London in the summer last year. So
Oh, lovely.
that was great fun.
Yeah.
Great fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to you.
Back to the chat. Yes. So Debbie, right now, do you have an agent right now? Are you represented by the same agent? Or are you represented?
So here's my story. A few years ago, I decided I was going to retire and not write any more books.
Okay.
And because being an agent of models and actors, I didn't want to take up space in a roster and be dead weight. Because I know as an agent, then that becomes uncomfortable for the agent. You have merchandise that doesn't sell anything, in other words. So I said to my agent, I love you, but I think I'm leaving. I'm
Yeah.
retiring. So we parted on very, very amicable, pleasant, lovely ways. And then, I got asked to do this anthology and then that anthology and then edit and do workshops. And I have versions of different books that I started and stopped. And I realized looking back now, it was fate because I had to deal with a lot of stuff that if I had had an agent and an editor in my personal life, I'm saying it would have been very difficult. I had two parents that myself and my brother were the primary caregivers for a while. I had stuff going on with my kids. I had things, with my husband's business I wanted to help with. And it just would have been, you know, really quite a bit for me to shoulder stress
Yeah.
wise. And there are people who really thrive when they have unbelievably challenging things going on and they still manage to write a book.
Yeah. And I
And
really appreciate you sharing that. I really appreciate you sharing that because that's kind of like what we'd like to talk about. We'd like to talk about how life and being an author, sometimes they really collide and you have to kind of pick and choose when, how to balance that. And I love it. I love that you picked yourself first.
I have to say, some people really thrive writing wise when they're unhappy. I'm the most productive when I'm happy. So I'm quite the opposite. And I really like to focus on whatever challenges I'm having and not have to think about a deadline, an agent. And that's not to say that every single day I don't have a new book idea, because I do. I'm an idea factory. And that is something that no matter what's going on, I'll always have ideas that come to me. But the actual grind of sitting down and writing, if I have to help my kids with something or my parents or something in real life that I don't want to have to be thinking, oh no, I have this deadline. But I have friends who've had cancer treatments and still finish their books, or who are on vacation with their family and they wake up at 4 a.m. to write. And that really makes them feel charged and good inside. And it's quite the opposite for me. So now that I have things balanced, I look back and say, thank goodness I parted ways with my agent and I didn't have that extra weight on me thinking I need to produce something solid and very polished for him.
Yeah.
I wrote here and there therapeutically. And unfortunately, this is also, I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, but a lot of the writing I did was eulogies, not even for my own inner circle, but for other people who needed help. We're at the age when everybody's parents are dying or transitioning, I like to say.
Yeah.
We had in 18 months, we had 5 people in my family pass. Every other month we were at a cemetery. It was like a
Wow.
Soprano episode. So,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
and I realized something too, which is kind of a weird thing to admit. I quite enjoy writing eulogies.
Okay.
I find them inspiring.
I just wrote my first eulogy this last 2 months ago. A friend of mine lost her husband, and she asked me to write the eulogy. It felt like such an honor to be asked.
Right.
It also felt like so much weight to like have to like, create this
Right.
person's life and
But
the
you're
reason.
actually you're pulling the best things about that person.
Oh yeah.
And you're allowing people to reminisce and tell you, well, this is what I loved about my dad, or
Yeah.
his little quirks and things like that. So it's actually
Yeah.
quite an interesting thing to write. I
And
agree with
have
you,
to
Debbie.
interview the different pieces of the family to get it, to
Mhm.
pull it together. So it was very challenging, but I think it ended up being so beautiful. So I loved it.
And some of them are actually really funny. You'll
Yeah.
be in the
Yes.
midst of welling up with tears, and then all of a sudden you're cracking up. I mean, funerals are really kind of very interesting how there's a different take. You can
Yeah.
go a lot of different ways with it. I think it made me a better writer.
I think so. I think that helped me too, because that was so funny because he was a teacher. He was a high school teacher and coach. And so I talked to some of the students too, and they had nicknames for him that his family didn't even know. And so I interjected those and they loved that part so much.
Yeah.
They thought that was the best part. So
But I think that the great thing about a eulogy is that everybody's aching. Everybody's been under a lot of pressure. If there was a wake, some of the wakes are long, some of them are
Yes.
short. Everybody's got they're carrying a lot of tension. And to bring the right level of humor without falling into slapstick is a bit like cooking soup in a pressure cooker, and it has the little steam valve at the top that just lets out the laughter, just lets us release that tension, and it's okay to laugh.
yes.
That's such a good analogy. That is a perfect analogy. Yeah, letting that little bit of steam out so people can let the pressure off.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Love it.
And no one is better at humor than you, Deb. I mean, you are just so good at humor. Oh my gosh. I mean, just you can make someone cry, laugh at the same time.
I say that because I'm not finishing it now, but I will come back to it. I was writing a middle grade novel based on my family. If my grandmother hadn't made it to Cuba, I wouldn't be here. But there were relatives right before the Holocaust that tried to come to Cuba and were turned away. And I know that sounds like such a heavy book. And I read a couple of chapters to a critique group, and they were cracking up laughing. And someone in the group said, "Debbie, I don't think you can help it."
Yeah.
And so I will come back to it.
She's like,
but
this is supposed to be serious.
I think it's always been like my coping thing.
Yeah.
I will tell you, somebody brought this memory up to me recently. In 1983, we lived in Athens, Greece, and a bomb went off down the street from our house.
Oh, wow.
A terrorist bomb. And it was early in the morning, and our house was filled with black smoke. There were windows that were blown out.
Wow.
And I came downstairs. Here's the best part. I slept through the bomb.
Wow. You're a heavy sleeper.
No, I was on asthma medicine. And they would knock you out. They don't even make this medicine anymore, but they gave it to children.
Oh, wow.
I turned 10. So come downstairs, black smoke, chaos, embassy personnel, and the first thing out of my mouth was, "Did mom burn the chicken?" Just blurted out like that. In other words, like being a smart mouth has kind of been coping mechanism. And actually, that book behind you, This Is Not the Abby Show, the original title was called Smart Mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That would have been good. That would have been a good title. I like that title.
Yeah. I mean, she's a wisecracker.
She is. She's definitely a wisecracker. I love that. So you are working on something now? You're working on